Connecticut's Back to School Authority is sponsored by Yale New Haven Children's Hospital, one of the best in the nation.
We are your Back to School Authority, and we know you have so many unanswered questions about going back to school. So each week, we're selecting several and getting you some answers. Our first question comes from Monique Cooper, who asks, will kids be allowed to play with in-classroom toys? Will the teachers walk around to constantly sanitize the playground toys or equipment after each child? Well, Guilford Superintendent Dr. Paul Freeman says in his school system,
we're going to be very careful about the things that students are touching, the materials, the manipulatives that they use instructionally, as well as those recess toys. So we may be limiting the number that they have access to. In class, we're asking students to bring more of their own materials. Whatever is used will be wiped down and sanitized in between activities.
Now, the next question focuses on parents who might have to stay home if their kids have to do any remote learning. Shauna Thompson-Hudak asked, will CTFMLA cover parents who'll now have to stay home from work? Currently, the FMLA only covers employees who work for companies with 500 or less employees. What about bigger companies that have 1,000 employees? Doesn't seem fair. We didn't choose to be in this position. We took this question to labor attorney Mark Mercier in Manchester about the new Families First Coronavirus Response Act. We think that's what she's referring to. It was passed by Congress. He says this new act requires certain employers with fewer than 500 employees to provide employees with emergency sick leave of up to 2 weeks or 80 hours of regular pay for reasons related to COVID-19. Now, some of the eligible reasons are an inability to work because the employee is quarantined, or caring for a person subject to a quarantine, or the employee is experiencing COVID-19 symptoms and seeking a medical diagnosis. The law also provides for leave for employees who are unable to work because of a bona fide need to care for a child whose school or child care provider is closed or unavailable due to COVID-19. That leave can actually be up to 12 weeks. After the first 2 weeks, up to 10 additional weeks are paid at 2/3 of the employee's regular rate of pay. If an employee has been employed there for at least 30 days and is unable to work due to a need to care for a child whose school or child care provider is closed for reasons related to COVID-19. Now, these expanded benefits are only in place until the end of the year. We did ask Attorney Mercier if you qualify if your school's doing a hybrid plan and your child might have to be home 1 week, back to school the next. He says the law does not explicitly guarantee intermittent leave, but the Department of Labor is likely to view these periodic closures as eligible for leave. Now, he adds, if you choose to keep your child home while school is open just because you're nervous, you would not qualify for the paid leave. Also, this law does not apply to big companies with 500 or more employees, as this viewer was asking. You have to work with your HR department. You can also contact the United States Department of Labor for help enforcing this law at work. As your Back to School Authority, we're going to answer your questions each week about back to school. And if you want a question answered, please send it to us through the Channel 3 app. It is free to download.